Hey everybody, Dave here. I was going to talk about one band today, and as I was preparing for this, I realized that there's going to be more bands that I'm going to need to mention here. So, I wanted to talk to you about a band that I have loved for easily 25 years, a band called the Buffalo Killers. Classic rock revival band. They're on the Alive label. Um, and I don't know if they get a lot of attention these days. I never really hear them being mentioned. So I thought I would just talk about them since I've been a fan of theirs for 25 years. So let's get into it. Before I get into talking about the Buffalo Killers discography, I need to talk about their early days before they were the Buffalo Killers. So, a little bit of story time. So, back in 2001, I was just kind of messing around on a website called allmusic.com, which you can still do, still exists. Really great resource for music, give you a little history of bands, recommendations, etc., etc. It's just a treasure trove of music. And I don't know what specifically led to me landing on this. Much like when you go on Wikipedia, you start looking up one thing, you click on a link to another thing, you click on a link to another thing, and another, and another, and another, and next thing you know, you're 18 degrees away from where you started. But so there, I am on allmusic.com, and eventually I land on an album by a band called The Shams. And I had never heard of them. At the time when I stumbled upon it on allmusic.com, this was brand spanking new. And I was immediately intrigued by the album cover, that tape machine on it, really kind of homemade, kind of basic cover. It's really hard to read with the glare and everything, but it says high fidelity stereo on the front. I'm like, high fidelity stereo? Who puts that on an album cover? On the very bottom, really small, it says studio recorded in the United States of America. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. But again, just that very kind of simple kind of cover there. And so I read the description of it, and I don't know what it was about the album review that was on allmusic.com, which I'm pretty sure it's still there, pretty sure. It just described it in such a way that I knew I had to seek out a copy of this album. I had to hear it. I just had to hear it. And so eventually I was able to get a copy of it. I don't even remember how I acquired a copy of it. I had to have ordered it online through what ways and means, I have no idea. I mean, Amazon really wasn't a thing in 2001, early 2002, that I recall. And upon first listen, immediately, I just loved it. Just the analog quality of it, the 60s garage rock revival, almost carbon copy sound. I just loved it. I didn't care if it was kind of pulling influence from the Rolling Stones or, Count Five or the Chocolate Watch Band or anything. I didn't care. I just loved it. And still to this day, I love this album, Take Off by The Shams. And I will say, there's a few other ideas for videos that I would like to do. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is not the last time you will be hearing about this album. It is not. I love this album. Here's band members on the back. I wasn't aware of the record label. I'm still not. It's on the orange label. There it is there. A little bit of research I've done. I don't think the orange label is around anymore. And sometime later, I was, trying to get a little information about the orange label, and I came across another band, a band called Them Ranch, also on the orange label. This is their second album, Medium Rare. Just more of that kind of 60s garage rock revival sound. I have a copy of it on CD also, because it's just how I like to have the vinyl. I like to have the CD. Not with every band, and not with every album. I do have some vinyls here, and some CDs, and some CDs that I don't have. This is Them Ranch's first album, called Big Noise from East Maynard. Kind of doing a lot of parody album covers there of some other classics. So, they definitely know their music. And again, very similar to that second album. I do like Medium Rare more than this. This is great. Good kind of garage punk blues kind of thing. Really good stuff. So, back to the Shams. Heard that debut, absolutely loved it. And then cut to about 2 years later or so, I came upon a second album of theirs, but they had changed their name, because apparently there was already a band called the Shams. And so they very cleverly changed it from the Shams to the Shams, adding another E to the, and they came out with, and I have censored this album cover, their second album, Please Yourself. So taking that 60s rock revival, garagey, low fidelity kind of sound, and just expanding on it. And this is also great. There's a track on there called Come Down Again. I would say it's probably the best song on the album for me. And I also love this. They do a remake of a song from the Take Off album called In the City. The version of In the City on here, I think, just eviscerates the debut version. To my ears, it sounds like they're doing the kind of main riff from Green River by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Again, that's what I'm hearing. Check it out for yourself. Tell me what you think. I love it. It's a great album. And, at this point, they're starting to expand their sound. They're not simply wanting to just replicate 1960s garage rock. They're expanding outward a bit. They actually do a cover of If You Gotta Go, Go Now by Bob Dylan, which, hats off to them for doing a cover that maybe not a lot of people know by a big name. They do a cover on the debut of Get Out My Life Woman that I feel like everyone did a version of. I think I was only aware of that song from Iron Butterfly's debut album Heavy. They do a cover of it. I think a lot of R&B groups have done versions of it as well. But again, both of these, just loved them. And then in 2005, they released what ended up being their final album, Sign the Line. And again, a real change in sound. It was getting a little bit fuller bodied. It wasn't trying to just be simply 60s garage rock revival. Definitely still had the garage rock sound, but adding a couple of more classic rock elements. You know, the psychedelic sound is still kind of there, but this was really sounding what was going to become the Buffalo Killers. So after this comes out, and maybe they had a website at this time. I had this vague memory that the Shams had a website, and it said something to the effect of them, "Oh well, you know, we're no longer the Shams." And I remember thinking, "Well, that really stinks. I really like them. I was really enjoying their albums and was looking forward to something more." And something more indeed happened, because out of the ashes, the phoenix rose, and we got, in 2006, the debut album by the Buffalo Killers. And this just blew me away, absolutely blew me away. I mean, they really fully embraced that 70s classic rock sound, you know, but it was swampier, and the grooves were thicker, and the riffs were just these good, heavy riffs, just good power trio kind of stuff. There's the CD. I really, really love this. I think they even did a music video for the song SS Nowhere. Really great song. To my ears, I hear kind of Let It Be era Beatles in it. There's a song With Love, which to me, first of all, I think it's just a great ballad, great love song. And I'm not even really a fan of ballads or love songs, but I mean, I feel like I'm hearing elements of Don't Let Me Down by the Beatles. Just that kind of, just that sound, and just that kind of slow burning kind of style. And I yeah. So for about a year or year and a half or so, I just feasted upon that Buffalo Killers debut album and absolutely loved it. I still absolutely love it. I think it is a great, 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 great album. And the thing that was interesting to me was it also kind of introduced me to a new record label. These Shams albums, they kept jumping record labels. They're on the Orange label, and then they're on the Fat Possum label. Fat Possum label is a great label as well. Check out the Fat Possum label. But for the remainder of their recording careers, the Buffalo Killers, they were on the Alive label. And the Alive label has so much great stuff on it. Rarely am I ever disappointed by something on the Alive label. And I was going to talk about some additional Alive label artists. Just touch on it briefly, not too in depth, just a little bit of stuff. But before I do, let's get to the Buffalo Killers' second album. And I was really excited for the second album. I thought the album cover was great. Picture of the guys looking really, really kind of cool, almost like, like they got war paint on or something. And this came out, and at first listen, I thought, oh, okay, well, it's a little more scaled back. It's a little more, a little more, I don't even really know how I want to describe it. Maybe more analog. I don't know. It sounded very, almost like live in your room. It didn't really have the width that I felt like the debut had. But it was just tougher. It was a tougher sound. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I like that as much. But as I spent time with it, I realized, no, I really like this. I really like this. Let It Ride. And as I, you look at the back cover and you look at the credits and who wrote what, I noticed that it was produced and recorded by Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys. And I'm like, well, that's cool. Because at that point, I was mildly aware of the Black Keys. Didn't really know much of their stuff at that point. I did have a copy of their debut, Big Come Up, which I had around the same time as the Shams' Take Off, that first album. It came out around the same time, and I really loved this. I loved the idea of a two-piece band. I hadn't really heard many two-piece bands playing, and I thought this was just awesome. Really raw, really bluesy. I'd play it around for people, and they were like, okay, well, what's this? Again, remember, this is like 2002, 2003. Black Keys hadn't really taken off yet. They hadn't become the powerhouse that they became. I loved this. I thought it was great. So, I'm like, okay, and again, more. This is also on the Alive label. But what's cool about it, if you look, I don't know if you can see the old kind of label there in the upper corner. Doesn't really look the same. And so I thought, well, that's really cool. And the Black Keys don't need much of a introduction, but I will just kind of go off on a little tangent with them, if I may. And then I'm going to go off on another tangent with them. Dan Auerbach, remember, in his production. But yeah, really loved the early stuff. Yeah, Thick Freakness. Patrick Carney, I think, is a great drummer. Great stuff. Rubber Factory. That was a real fun one. Chulahoma, the EP that they put out where they're covering Junior Kimbra songs. Because Junior Kimbra was a real big influence for Dan Auerbach to start playing guitar, and they cover Junior Kimbra every once in a while. There's the LP there. Unfortunately, the LP is not a gatefold. I really, really wish it was. I kept the inspection number on the back of it. Yeah, and the songs of Junior Kimbra. Kept the hype sticker. It's always good to keep a hype sticker with a record. Really loved it. And this one, Magic Potion by the Black Keys, I thought this was killer. This, to me, for a while, this was like really the last really good album they did. Attack and Release, I liked. It was okay. It was definitely a change. Danger Mouse was coming in, producing them. And then they did the Brothers album. Again, it was okay. It really wasn't one of my favorites, and kind of lost interest a little bit with the Black Keys. And then, like 2021 or something, they came out with, much like Chulahoma, Delta Cream. I love this. I think this is awesome. Awesome, awesome. Covering more Junior Kimbra, R.L. Burnside. I think, who else did they do? Oh, just so many people. And of course, it also features a guy named Kenny Brown. Kenny Brown was R.L. Burnside, his second guitar player. So again, there's a little tangent. That's tangent number one. So remember Dan Auerbach, that name, because I have a few other little things here that I would like to touch on. So let's rewind a little bit. The Buffalo Killers, the Let It Ride album came out, and again, I almost felt like when I first heard it, I'm like, I don't know if I like it as much, but it really, really grew on me, and I really loved it. I loved that tougher sound, good riffs throughout. And then in 2011, they kind of shifted gears, and their sound widened a little bit more for me with the aptly named third album, 3. I love that album art. Love that. I'd like to have that on a t-shirt, I think. And this was such an eye-opener for me. It's like they took all of the kind of swampy sounds that they had become known for, and they just kind of relaxed, and they kind of slowed things down a bit. You know, it was a very, very mature sounding album. It sounded so grown up and not trying to be loud and bombastic and, you know, heavy power trio kind of stuff. There's a bit more special guests on here. They have like guest banjo player and sax player and guest vocalist. They acquire a guest musician who ended up becoming a band member a little bit later on lap steel, Sven Kans. Really great lap steel player. I don't know very much about him, but his playing on here is great. And also around this time, because, you know, I'm got to the Buffalo Killers, and, you know, I'm listening to the Black Keys here and there. You know, I'm aware of the Alive label. Well, as a guest on this album, I notice a guy playing keyboards, James Legge. Well, where had I heard the name James Legge? Well, from another Alive recording artist, the Black Diamond Heavies. Another duo. You know, keyboard and drums. James Legge, whose real name is John Wesley Myers, who's actually a great guy. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and there's been a few times where he's wished me happy birthday. So, James Legge, thank you so much. Much love. He still tours and does stuff, and he's got a great singing voice, very raspy. Like imagine if Tom Waits had smoked an entire pack of cigarettes, drank an entire bottle of whiskey, got no sleep, and first thing in the morning started singing songs. Just gravelly, gritty, soulful, to the point where you almost hardly don't even know what he's singing. But so what? It's just awesome. Second album, A Touch of Someone Else's Class. This is really cool. They do a number of covers on here. They do Nutbush City Limits by well, I just drew a blank right there. Tina Turner, there it is. Sorry, Tina. Do a great version of Nutbush City Limits. I think they do another cover on here. Yeah, they do a Nina Simone cover, Oh Sinner Man. Really well done. They do T Model Ford, Take a Ride. T Model Ford. I think he was also on Alive Records, maybe also Fat Possum. I think maybe there's a T Model Ford cover on that Delta Cream album. I don't know. I'll have to double check. The little stack there is getting growing at me. This one more Black Diamond Heavies album, Alive, as Alive AF is what we'll call it. Okay, but yeah, really cool, really cool. This is played at a live at the Covington Masonic Lodge, Covington, Kentucky. This record was made on a hot-ass night on July the 24th. Up at Dr. Johnny Walker's flat in Covington, Kentucky. And then more great description as well. But yeah, Black Diamond Heavies. Great, great band. There's an EP out there which I have heard. I don't have a copy of it. Really, really cool. I think they also even had a self-titled album that was like self-released floating around out there. I feel like I've seen it on Discogs for way too much money. So need a. I think it would. I think it could benefit from a good reissue. But let's get back to our regularly scheduled rambling. So once again, the Buffalo Killers, they had their album 3 come out, which again was for me their most mature sounding album to date. And I still kind of stand by that. I think it's a great album. Then cut to 2012. Yeah, so like the next year. I mean, they're really good at kicking out music. They come out with their 4th album, Dig, Sow, Love, Grow. I mean, look at that album cover, which I think absolutely illustrates well the sound of the album. They still are doing good rockin', swampy, stomping stuff, but then there's some more kind of almost Laurel Canyon influenced country rock stuff. Really, really great stuff. I mean, the opening track, Get It. Oh, just a great killer opening track. Killer opening track. Rolling Wheel, Blood on Your Hands, Moon Daisy. The one thing I love about the CD is that is literally all the lyrics. Just jam-packed in there. And so Dig, Sow, Love, Grow. I really loved it. Let's get back to doing, the gritty stuff and, but then again, expanding the sound. They dig and they sow and they love and they grow and they look at all the flowers. Look at all the flowers. They blossom like a flower. And I loved it. I thought, wow, they have these 4 albums, and each one of them at this point, it's just this great catalog of music. Yeah, everything, they definitely have their own unique sound. And yes, they're definitely hearkening back to that classic late 60s, 70s era. But they're not really repeating themselves. There's really not a lot of repeats. And then in 2013, they had a Record Store Day release. And I was really excited for it. I saw it posted, Record Store Day was, posted what all was coming out. And I was so excited, and picked up. It was an EP called Ohio Grass. Them coming from Cincinnati, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, look at that. I mean, come on. It's a picture it could have been taken in 1970, 71, 72. Great stuff. And once again, they're not repeating themselves. They're still maintaining that fuzzy, swampy, classic rock sound, but there's some almost reggae-like rhythms on here. Some almost a cappella moments here and there. Really love it. Some grungier moments. And the CD is cool. It includes some live material and I guess a bonus single. I think it was a single. It's called Good Feeling. Really great. And I love the EP. And I was like, it's like these guys, it's like they can do no wrong. Everything that comes out, I just so enjoy listening to it. And so then the following year, 2014, they came out with, again, another widening of the sound to my ears, Heavy Reverie. And this thing to me was like, okay, so they're almost adopting I don't want to say grunge, but it had that real fuzzy, distorted, kind of maximum overdrive on their amplifier tones, kind of sound. Heavy Reverie. Really loved this. When I first heard it, I remember thinking, "Ooh, what are they doing? This sounds like almost too dramatic of a departure. Whoa, hang on." And then when I re-listened to it, I was like, "Wait a minute. No, this is awesome. This is very, very awesome." I mean, from beginning to end, this album doesn't let up. They don't do anything slow or mellow. It's not fast, it's, very evenly tempoed and just crunchy and just good bass riffs, real fuzzy bass riffs, and I love it. Then they followed it up, I think it was maybe the next year, with another EP, kind of in the same vein, Fireball of Sulk. And what I loved about this was, it's like they took what they had done on Heavy Reverie and made it a little more melodic. Still had that real fuzzy, kind of grungy sound, but it was just more melodic. The sound just kept widening with these guys. So yeah, Fireball of Sulk. Absolutely great. I guess my one complaint with it was that it was an EP. It's like, oh, this should have been a full-length album. But that's okay. That is all right. It does exactly as it needs to do. And then they kind of capped everything off, about a decade ago, 2017, with Alive and Well in Ohio. I love that art. Again, put this on a t-shirt. Look at them. Absolutely love this. And so at this point, their pedal steel guy, Sven Kans, he's getting, real kind of billing as being like a member of the band. I didn't really notice it so much there, but I mean, he definitely contributes. In this one, this to me really felt like the sibling album to, you can find it here in my pile, to 3. Like, these two to me feel like sibling albums. This one, a little swampier than this one, but again, both of these, people talk about like Rubber Soul and Revolver being like a volume 1 and a volume 2. I think that's an actual quote from George Harrison. It's like, they're like volume 1 and volume 2. Volume 1 and volume 2. Absolutely. Really, really loved it. And then it seemed like they kind of just faded away. I don't think they formally broke up, but Zach Gabbard and Andy Gabbard ended up being backing musicians for the Black Keys during a tour in maybe the early 2020s or so. And I thought, it's a real shame. It's like, here I go again. It's like when the Shams kind of stopped, are the Buffalo Killers done? And I didn't hear anything about them. I didn't hear anything about them breaking up. Zach and Andy Gabbard released an album as the Gabbard Brothers, which I don't have a copy of. I have heard it. I did really like it. And then there was an announcement, I think, maybe on the Alive Records website, I don't really recall now, talking about a release from the Buffalo Killers called Stay Tough. Ooh. The Lost Cuts. Oh, purple vinyl wants to keep sneaking out. I need to rotate it, but yeah. And this was really cool. So songs that I guess they kind of left on the cutting room floor. Some alternate versions of, I think at least 2, maybe 3 songs. And I really liked it. You know, stuff that they recorded from 2006 to 2013. I really liked it. And it's funny because it almost acts similar to what Coda is to Led Zeppelin. It's just, yeah, it's kind of an album. Yeah, it's a compilation. But it feels very cohesive, you know? I definitely love it. I don't think we're probably going to get any more Buffalo Killers releases, which is a dirty, rotten shame. But no, I mean, their output was, you know, brief, you know, 6 albums, 2 EPs, and a compilation. Great stuff. As far as I know, Andy Gabbard has released a number of solo albums. I have heard a few of them. And again, he really kind of runs the full kind of spectrum of styles. I mean, he'll do kind of grungier stuff and swamp rock kind of stuff. And I think he even did kind of like a country rock album, if I'm remembering. I unfortunately don't have any copies of those, but I have heard a few of them, and it's good stuff. I would love to see him do a tour. So if, you know, if he comes to town, I'd go and see him. But what was Zach up to? What's Zach Gabbard up to? His brother Andy's recording music. What's Zach Gabbard doing? Well, I was looking up what he had been up to and learned that he had produced an album by a band also on Alive called Handsome Jack. Do What Comes Naturally. And this is great. This is so good. Very, again, very similar to Buffalo Killers sound, you know, what you would kind of expect from Alive Records. It sounds like 70s classic rock, swampy, bluesy stuff. Very, to my ears, I do hear a lot of that kind of Junior Kimbrough, R.L. Burnside, North Mississippi, kind of juke joint blues. Have it on CD as well, because I just do. I also have a copy of their second album. I think they have like 4 or 5 albums now. Good stuff. I mean, you know, long hair, beards, and, you know, denim. What do you expect, you know? So that was a really cool discovery. And, you know, again, getting back to, if you recall, you know, so Dan Auerbach, he produced the second album by the Buffalo Killers. Of course, he's a member of the Black Keys. Well, again, also on the Alive label. And again, Dan Auerbach producing and engineering the debut album by a group called Hacienda. There's that trusty Alive label. You just can't go wrong. And this is definitely different from both, you know, Handsome Jack and the Buffalo Killers, and certainly the Black Keys. This has more of a late 60s kind of almost I don't know if psychedelic pop is the right word, but it definitely has some kind of Beach Boy harmonic elements. You know, they do a lot of harmonies and a cappella things here and there. A little bit of Birds. Loud as the Night is the album cover, pardon me there. This is great. The opening track, She's Got a Hold on Me, there's a video for it. It's fun, you know? It's just a great kind of fun, upbeat song. Officer is a great song, very kind of bluesy. They do a cover of Baby Don't Go by Sonny and Cher. And I gotta say, their version of Baby Don't Go, way better than Sonny and Cher. No disrespect to Sonny and Cher. And so, also to rewind a little bit, again, mentioning the Alive label and, produced and engineered by Dan Auerbach. Came across another band back in 2007, Radio Moscow. This debut, this was awesome. It's like they took psychedelia, southern rock, swamp rock, and just cooked it into this awesome stew. Just love it. That's the debut. I don't have the second album, but Radio Moscow's third album, I'm absolutely going to call my favorite. The Great Escape of Leslie Magnafuzz. Just look at that. This is a gatefold. Are you all ready for this? I love good album art. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at the inner sleeve. With all the track names there. Oh, just too awesome. Yeah, it's got the bluesy thing, but I mean, just pile driving, Hendrix style. I mean, this just is unrelenting. I think this is just awesome. There it is on CD. I mean, oh man. I know they've released a couple albums since, but this to me, this is my favorite right there. And speaking of Radio Moscow, so the guitar player of that band, what is it? Is it Parker Griggs is his name? Parker Griggs. He's a phenomenal guitar player. He is so good. He has a side project band, and I really, really hope they release more stuff. A band called El Perro, with the lone album, Hair of. Again, oh man, if you like Radio Moscow, I think this might even be better. I don't know. Again, just pile driving, crushing, searing, psychedelic music. Absolutely love it. So, when I was preparing for this video and I initially just wanted to talk about the Buffalo Killers, I'm like, there's all these other little connections here and there. And I love when that happens. I felt like we definitely had that in the 60s and 70s. Clapton was playing with everybody. And, oh, look, John Mayall is, with this person and that person. And, oh, yeah, Peter Green. And he's, there were all these 6 degrees of separation. And, Jeff Beck from the Yardbirds playing with 2 guys from Cactus to form Beck Bogert and a Piece, which I'll probably get to talking about them at some point as well. Just all these little connections, and I love that. I love when there is just a great community of music, and they're all working together and helping each other out, and it shows in the music. You can hear it. It's real. It's analog. Minimal to no digital technology. It sounds like it's this great little love letter from the past. It's like, you know what? Listen to something real and raw. Something to really help you enjoy your day, your week, your month, the rest of your life. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. It was very haphazard. I wasn't very well organized. This is actually take 2 of this video. So, with all that in mind, this bombardment of information, seek out some of this music, check out this stuff, I really don't think you're going to be disappointed. And thanks for hanging out.